Hello there. Today is Friday, the 14th of October. I've not heard any testimonies this week. I'm hoping God is doing something amongst us. Please remember to share. Just something from our own experience this week, actually for more than this week. Sometimes in ministry, life gets very intense and very full because one is always dealing with people. There is a perception that ministry is about preparing a sermon for a Sunday and running the occasional meeting maybe, and otherwise sitting in an office looking important, if only. Actually, ministry is all about people, which at times can be very tiring, very draining, but also very rewarding. Depends on what's going on in people's lives. The one who is called into ministry is prepared for that. When we begin with our training and study theology at college, we are told and taught that we are going to apply the theology as we deal with people. We bring the reality of God into people's lives and situations. Some theology is taught from the pulpit. That's our sermon and Bible studies where we teach the meaning of the texts. But a lot of theology is lived and applied in dealing with people on a day-to-day basis. Now, no sooner had we had a really inspiring weekend mission here at our church, promising us that no matter what happens, God has a plan and a purpose for our lives and our parish, plans to prosper us and not to harm us, to give us a hope and a future based on that wonderful passage from Jeremiah 29 verse 11. No sooner had we been given this promise when a tragedy hit one of our families in the congregation who lost their daughter just 2.5 years after losing their son, bringing a terrible time of sadness to them and the community at large. What happened to the promise of hope, to the hope for the future, we might be asking? Well, that is exactly when we have to hold on to that promise. It's called spiritual warfare. It's called faith. Just when God is at work, the devil will try to disrupt what is happening, and we have to be prepared for that. Paul tells us that our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the evil powers of darkness. He tells us that we have to wear the armor of God so that we can avert the flaming darts of the evil one. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11. And at the mission, Rob Lewis was reminding us that when Jesus had just died on the cross and his disciples who thought they were going to have a great future with him were suddenly left without him, totally bereft, they were asking, what now? But God had a plan. And Jesus was raised from the dead, breaking the power of death forevermore. Remember that the power of death has been broken. Now, going back to what I was saying last week regarding testimony, I've realized again that had I not lost someone close to me in death 40 years ago and totally trusted that God had a plan in it, I would not be in ministry today or doing the work I do, particularly when dealing with those who are bereaved. I would be doing something else, probably quite nebulous. The driving force for me all along has been knowing that the Lord, knowing the Lord and knowing that the Lord had a plan and a purpose, and knowing that he would not abandon me then and would continue to show me what he wants to do with me throughout my life. I've always known that. I haven't always known what it is. As I go along, I discover. God allows certain things for his own purposes, and we can't always understand this. And we might even think God is unfair when he allows terrible things to happen. But it means we do not understand God or the nature of God. I mean, firstly, who are we to question whether God is fair or not? Did we make ourselves? Did we create the world? Did we breathe life into ourselves? It all came from God. The true nature of God is one of love and wanting only the best for us. But it doesn't mean there won't be issues and problems. He even promises us a cross. Take up your cross and follow me. Better than anyone, God knows what it is to lose a child. As a father, he watched his son Jesus Christ die the most terrible, horrible death on the cross. For the sins of the human race, people who didn't even know him, people who would even reject him, he died for them. And God allowed it so that we could be saved and be given eternal life. God grieves with us when we grieve. He gives us the love and the joy and the positive experiences that we have in life as measures of his grace, even when we don't deserve anything. When we know the love and care and purposes of God, even if we can't see them at the time, and if we hold on in faith to the fact that God will bring something good out of this, anything, it drives us forward even in the face of adversity. Quoting Robert Schuller, life isn't always fair, but God is always good. Don't forget that. Don't change that theory. God never allows anything to happen that is not part of his plan for our good. And if we forget that, we're going to see God in a very different light. But he's not a sadistic God, and he doesn't wish anything evil to happen to us. However, evil is rife in the world, and God will see us through every experience if we hold on in faith and totally trust that he has a plan and will bring good out of that situation. So that's a little bit of testimony from me, and I hope to hear from some of you soon. If God is in fact doing anything in your life, no matter how small, let's share it. God bless you and have a great weekend.